Defense officials warn these troops from Russia have gone into Belarus or back to Russia to resupply, reorganize, likely will return to fight in the Donbas region in eastern Ukraine, where Russian forces already have stepped up their attacks, carrying out several missile strikes yesterday. And those Russian forces appear to be escalating attempts to attack civilians with a new high-tech landmine. The New York Times reports Ukrainian bomb technicians discovered mines called the POM-3 last week near Kharkiv. Traditional landmines explode after a tripwire is hit or someone steps on it, but the POM-3s have sensors that will detonate when someone simply is walking by and can tell the difference between humans and animals. Joining us now, Pentagon Press Secretary, retired Rear Admiral John Kirby. Admiral Kirby, good morning. Good to have you with us. Give us your assessment, if you would. We've been talking about the retreat of those Russian troops from Kyiv. A bit of good news, but on that retreat, we've seen some of the worst atrocities in the European continent in a century in places like Bucha. What is the state of the Russian military right now in Ukraine?
Well, we believe that they are preparing to refit, resupply, and maybe even reinforce some of these troops that they've moved out of Kyiv and out of places like Chernihiv into Belarus and into Russia for later redeployment back inside Ukraine. So we're very concerned about this development. I mean, it's certainly good for the folks of Kyiv and certainly, obviously, a defeat for the Russian forces there who had tried to capture the capital, but they are going home. They're going to get ready for future fighting. And I think Mike had a really good point just a minute ago. Because they're going to be able to concentrate their efforts now in a smaller geographical area, an area that they have been fighting over now for 8 years, we would expect that the violence is only going to get worse. The fighting is going to get more intense as the Russians now try to redouble their efforts in a very much smaller area of Ukraine. So we're very concerned about this development. We're watching it. We haven't seen those reinforcements come in back into Ukraine from the northern regions, but we'll be monitored in as close as we can.
So, Admiral, what can you tell us about the Pentagon's assessment of what happened around Kyiv? Why did the Russians fail so miserably, so historically?
Yeah, here's a couple of things for you. One, they didn't have enough force. To take a capital city the size of Kyiv, they would have needed tens of thousands of more troops than they actually dedicated to the effort. Two, they didn't properly prepare for sustaining their forces in the field. Logistics, food, fuel, ammunition, that vaunted convoy that never reached them. Number three, they didn't count on the Ukrainian resistance and how stiff and how strong that was going to be. Number four was just command and control. The Russians have a more siloed military than what we would normally consider a modern military should have. Commanders don't necessarily talk to one another. They had trouble communicating with one another. They weren't integrating air and ground elements the way you would think a joint force would. So they suffered from their own failures, but they also ran into a much, much stiffer Ukrainian resistance than they anticipated.
Hey, Admiral, it's Kathy Kay here. As the Russians prepare to regroup, resupply, and we assume come back again into the east of the country, is the West going to give the Ukrainians what they need for this next stage of the fight? They may need more offensive weapons if they're going to try and take advantage of this pause. We've been hearing just increasing frustration from Ukrainian officials. They're not really hiding it anymore, that they feel they're not getting what they need. What are they going to get now, and are they going to get more of these offensive weapons?
Well, I would tell you, Kathy, that we're in constant communication with the Ukrainians. Secretary Austin spoke to Minister Reznikov just a couple of days ago, and they had a very good, candid discussion about capabilities. The Secretary made sure that Minister Reznikov knew we were going to continue from the United States perspective to provide as much as we can, as fast as we can, and get them the systems that we know they're using most effectively. So that's the Javelin anti-tank missiles that we were just talking about a minute ago, Stinger anti-air missiles, small arms and ammunition, millions of rounds of small arms ammo has been provided to the Ukrainians in recent days, or actually recent weeks and months. And that doesn't get a lot of fanfare in the press, and I understand that. But that is the tool they use the most every single day, and that is going to continue to flow in. Now, as for larger systems, we're working with allies and partners literally every day to see if they can provide some of these long-range air defense systems that we know the Ukrainians know how to use and are using very effectively, because we don't have them in our stocks. We're also talking with other allies and partners about other larger systems. You know, some countries have talked about potentially providing tanks, T-72 tanks that the Ukrainians know how to use. So we're certainly going to be encouraging of that as well.
Let's just stop for 1 minute, Jonathan. I know you have a question for the Admiral, but we talk about what we've talked about the extraordinary bravery that the Ukrainians have shown. Let's also just be really blunt here. A lot of criticism focused towards this president, focused toward this administration, focused towards NATO for not doing enough. What's happened in Ukraine would have never happened if we had not been flooding the zone with U.S. weapons, with NATO weapons, with Russian, old Russian weapons that former Warsaw countries had. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Nobody's going to stop and say that now. It's always, and I understand this is how democracies work, and this is why we're vibrant. And nobody stops like for a victory lap. We're always asking, what can you do next? What? And let's ask that question. How do we help the Ukrainians even more? But this remarkable historic retreat would have never happened without the support of NATO countries. And I think everybody, from the Baltic states through Germany, through France, England, the United States, everybody should be thanked for what they've done. And now let's prepare for the next phase.
And it's a victory for intelligence agencies, because the U.S. and the West saw this coming for months, and they put out the warnings for months, which conditioned European partners who may have been a little reluctant to really help out, but the steady drumbeat of, hey, this invasion's coming, primed them to be ready and to help supply those weapons. And now, of course, the Ukrainians are saying they need even more. Admiral, my question to you, though, on the eve of this war, when there was an expectation that Russia may have some real military success, part of that was because there was an expectation they were going to unleash a devastating wave of cyber attacks. And yet that has not happened. That has not happened at all. Why does the Pentagon think that's the case? What happened to them?
Well, I tell you, one of the things that, to go back to what you guys were just talking about a minute ago, in addition to the material being responsible, the material that Joe rightly says came from so many other places, is the training that we have done with Ukrainians over the last 8 years. The United States, Great Britain, other allies as well. That training has proved crucial. And part of that training, Jonathan, is on cyber. We have worked over the last several years to help the Ukrainians become more resilient, more defensive, more capable in cyberspace. And I think some of that's playing out here. That may be one factor for why you haven't seen devastating cyber attacks by the Russians, because the Ukrainians were prepared for that. They knew that that was part of the playbook, and they were ready for it. The other thing that we didn't see was, this massive suppression of Ukrainian air defense by the Russians. The Russians have not been able to completely squelch Ukrainian air defense, because they are being nimble in how they use it, when they use it, moving them around, and of course because so many allies and partners are trying to help bolster their inventory.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.